Okay, so basically, you hear a lot about, if you ever watch the news, you hear a lot about red states and blue states. And you may even hear the term purple states get tossed around. So, what is a red state? What is a blue state? What does it all mean? Okay, well, first of all, to understand that, you have to understand the political spectrum. And I have a little drawing board of the political spectrum right here. Now, this is a rough draft of the political spectrum. This isn't a real astute version of it. This is kind of a very simplified version of it. And you really can't even see some of these words just because I've had this written on this board for quite some time. And as you can see, it doesn't even erase. So I've had it written, so I have to watch this board. But basically, the political spectrum is a right-left spectrum. To the right of it, you have basically conservatism, which is what the Republican Party currently aligns itself with. Conservatism, capitalism, things of that nature. You go too far right, you get into fascism, which is dealing with like a totalitarian government, very bad stuff. Then to the left of the spectrum, you get into liberalism, and liberalism involves some forms of socialism, and this is currently what the Democrat Party of America aligns itself with. So when you hear people talk about somebody being a leftist or going left to the spectrum, they're talking about Democrats. You go too far left, you get into the philosophy of communism, and communism, you get into state-controlled economy, state-controlled property, things of that nature. So really, fascism and communism are just way too extreme for a standard society. In the middle is centrism, which is sort of kind of balances between these two powers. So when you hear people talk about red states and blue states refer to anything that falls left of the spectrum. We're talking about liberal states here. They tend to vote for liberal presidents, liberal governors, liberal senators and congressmen, things of that nature. And red states refer to Republican states, states that tend to vote for the Republican Party, conservative candidates, things of that nature. So which states are red and which states are blue? Well, good question. I got a little map here, and we're going to stick this map right here. We're going to talk about which states are blue and which states are red. Here's the American map. It's outlined all nice and all, blank, as we should be. We should all be on the same level. But we use politics to sort of kind of put ourselves in categories. So, what's a red state? Well, first of all, a red state is something like Texas. See Texas right here? Texas, very red state. Probably one of the most red states there is. They tend to vote for Republicans nonstop. There's a lot of Republican presidents who have come from red states. George W. Bush was actually governor of Texas. One of the current presidential candidates, Ted Cruz, is a senator from Texas. So when we talk about red states, Texas is as red as it gets. What's another red state? Well, the state we're in right now, Alabama. Alabama is also a red state. They tend to vote for Republicans. They tend to vote for conservatives in the state. This little area up here, this little area, all up here, all of that's red. All of that's red. Not that state, but everything else over here, red. All the Rocky Mountains usually be red. Arizona, very red state. All of the South, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, Mississippi, Arkansas, all very red states. They all tend to vote for Republicans. Okay, well now, what's a blue state? What's a state that's voting for the Democrats and the liberals? Well, let's find out. The main blue state, this little state right here on the West Coast, California. Oh yes, California. I used to live in California. Very liberal, very left-leaning state. They tend to only vote for Democrats in California. New York City, also a very liberal state. What's another liberal state? Well, New Mexico is pretty liberal. They tend to vote blue. Colorado, right here. Colorado's neither. We'll get to Colorado in a minute. Michigan tends to be blue. Illinois tends to be blue. All your northeastern stuff up here is going to be pretty blue. And so that's, your blue states. They reliably vote for Democrat candidates. Well, what about a purple state? You've heard of that before, right? People talk about purple states. Well, a purple state is a state that in a presidential election can go either way. They might vote for the Republican. They might vote for the Democrat. It just depends on the times and depends on the way the campaign is run. One of the biggest purple states there is, one of the biggest states that counts in a presidential election, is this state down here, Florida. Florida is a very purple state. It is the state that has been the decider in many recent elections, most recently the election of 2000. What's another purple state? Colorado. We were talking about Colorado earlier. That's a very purple state. They go either way. Ohio. Where's Ohio at? Ohio. They're purple. They kind of go either way. Virginia is purple. And more recently, North Carolina. North Carolina used to be a reliable red state. They used to only vote for Republicans. 2004, they voted for George W. Bush. 2008, they voted for Barack Obama. So that's become a purple state. There are a few other purple states, but generally speaking, those are the main ones, and there are a couple of others. And any state can turn any color. Now, what does this all mean for you? Just because you live in a red state, that doesn't mean you can't get a Democrat president elected from your state. And just because you live in vice versa, let's say you live in a blue state, that doesn't mean you can't get a Republican elected. Give you a couple examples. Louisiana, in the deep South, generally speaking, is a pretty red state. They voted for many of the last Republican presidents. However, they just elected a Democrat governor. Here's another example. New Jersey. New Jersey is way up there next to New York City. Of course, it's going to be pretty liberal. And they're very liberal. They only vote for Democrats for president up there. Yet, their governor, their two-term governor, is Chris Christie, a staunch conservative Republican who is currently running for president. So that gives you this example that just because your state is either red or blue, that doesn't mean anything. Any state can turn at any given time. We just talked about North Carolina. They turned for Obama in 2008. So don't think that just because you live in a red state, or even if you live in a blue state, that you can't get a president or anybody, a governor, congressman of the other party elected, because it's all about voter turnout. It's all about participation. And that's why I encourage everybody to vote, because you can make a difference with your vote. Don't let anybody tell you you can't.